We are joined by Cerrone Battle. The Bucks tonight, 119-108, Celtics win. You know, I was kind of bored tonight, Cerrone, you know? I mean, I know Pritchard had a night, but this is what I would say when your stars might not have it going or one of your stars might not. Peyton Pritchard got going, but this is like where the depth really takes over. And, you know, they only got 30 points from their bench, 28 of them from Pritchard, but overall, it's what they needed to win tonight's game by 9 points.
I mean, it's you saw in the third quarter, you hit the nail on the head, man. You saw in that third quarter why this team is better than everybody else. They just hit the switch and said, all right, let's get this thing over with. And it was a team effort. You saw deflections from Jordan Walsh. You saw Holiday in the lanes. You saw Derek White blocking Giannis at the rim. You know, you saw them stripping Brook Lopez when he go to the basket, making Bobby Portis look invincible at times. And it was different people at different times. And like you said, when Jason Tatum didn't have it going, he had it going kind of first quarter, got a few layups and points in the paint. Then Brown was cold, but then Pritchard got going. Then Derek White got going. Al Horford got going early. And before you know it, in the fourth quarter, they're sitting there with a 15-point lead. And Milwaukee's over there wondering, what did we do wrong, man? How did we get here? And they're just a better overall team on both ends than everybody in the league, and it's not really that close.
What do you think was up with Jason Tatum tonight? Struggled from three. Did you see anything that might have stood out to you where he struggled?
The Buck size. I think the Buck size got to him. You've seen a lot of the contested stuff on the outside. It was Giannis on him. He was banging with Brook Lopez a lot, like playing that power forward position. And I think he was they were kind of taking something out of him on the defensive end, making him work on that end and kind of get his legs from underneath him on the offensive end. They were being physical with him. You saw Giannis out in the perimeter, digging in, trying to get to him. He would get past him and make great passes. But when it was time to take the shots, it was really contested shots. So I would give more credit to the Bucks defense, forcing Tatum out of his comfort zone a little bit in that one. But they kind of picked their poison on that. By doing that with him, it allowed others behind that defense to get to the basket. Jaylen Brown, ton of shots in the paint tonight. And it just, you have to pick your poison. What you're going to do? What are you going to take away? And whatever you choose is the wrong answer when they have it going like this.
All right. Feel free to call in 617-779-0985. Hot take off the bat, the Bucks won't be able to compete and threaten the Celtics after what I saw tonight. And granted, they're on a back-to-back, right? So a little bit of that there, but yeah, maybe the banging for 48 minutes in a series could be something. But, you know, their bench wasn't reliable shooting tonight. And if we're comparing benches, I know that the Celtics wasn't really great besides Pritchard. No Chris Middleton either. So you got to throw that into the mix there. But, yeah, Lillard's a threat. Giannis is a threat. Besides that, you know, who really, you know, concerns you besides Middleton on this team? I don't know. My big takeaway, not a threat, not worried.
No, I agree with you. And it was something that late in the game, you might have caught it when Doc took everybody out with like 3 minutes left or something like that. The camera kind of zoomed in on Dame, and his face is all frowned up, his eyebrows all bent up. And I said to my wife, I said, man, it looks like he's realizing that the season's already over a week into it. It was a look on his face like, yo, I can't believe we can't hang with these dudes. Him and Giannis combined for 33 or whatever it was?
Yeah, 33.
I mean, 63.
30. Yeah, 33,
yeah.
30.
And they couldn't hang. Yeah. It didn't matter. It was like, yo, we're down 15 and we got 60 on the board. Dame went to the line more than the Celtics did as a team, which was crazy on the road. And they still were getting cooked. So, I mean, it's frustrating to be like that. If either one of us are off on the slightest, we'll lose to this team by 30. If Tatum had it going, if Brown had it going early, they would have been blown out of the gym. So I see a lot of frustration on them, and I think they're in a situation. They're one of those teams that could try and swing a power move or something like that before the deadline to try and get themselves over the top. Because you're right, man. This team as constructed now, they're not beating the Celtics team.
Just looking at Damian Lillard tonight, he could have scored 40 if they didn't take him out. And you mentioned the going to the lines 18 times tonight. I think in a close game, like, he could still drop 40 and it's not good enough. I think when you mentioned that he was upset, That's probably what he's thinking right now is, man, I can drop 40 and I can't even help my team right now. And again, Middleton will help out. You're right. They're going to have to make a move.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's Giannis. Like, they're not going to move on from Giannis.
No. I think the big guns are still going to be there, but like the Bobby Portises and, Pat Connaughton and even Middleton, even some of those other guys, I can see those guys being moved a package to bring in a younger star to give them a third guy. Because as right now, they're not doing it. And Doc Rivers, man, what are they, 1-4?
Yeah.
They're seeking a little warm again.
I got a name for you for them. What about Marcus Smart?
Yeah, they could use a guy like that. To replace to give them kind of what Drew Holiday gave him, a defensive guy that can hit the corner threes. I can see that, but I mean, I don't know if if Memphis would give him up with them building their team around defense right now and John Morant limping every now and then. But I can see somebody like that, absolutely.
I also think the Bucks don't really have much, like, as far as assets go.
No one you want. Bobby Portis.
Yeah, you should have saw the look from Skaz when I said that. He gave me like this smirk. Like, are you kidding me? No, I'm giving the type of player. I think they need a ball handler that's tough.
It takes away the guy I was going to mention. Once you said tough, I said, I'll keep this name to myself. I was going to say Zach LaVine.
Ooh, wow.
I think that would make them. It'd make them sexy. It'd make them real sexy, but
they'd be risky again, though.
Yeah, they would be.
It's just with Giannis's health and Lillard at times. Lillard's a gamer. I like Lillard's game, but yeah, the Celtics at least have one guy, right? In Porzingis. Yeah, they'd have three guys. You'd wonder every night if they played together.
Yeah, I mean, that's the situation you're in now, and when you're in a place like Milwaukee, let's just face it, it's not a hot free agent destination. Even with Giannis and Dame there, it looked like Dame didn't really want to go there when he got traded there. We all heard the talks about him wanting to go to Miami, but it's a hard place to land free agents, so you're going to have to swing deals, trades, get rid of some draft picks or whatever. But, I mean, Bobby Portis would be good to a team like Dallas, the Lakers or the Suns or one of those teams. Denver, Bobby Portis in Denver I think would be great. But he would help a team like that out. But you're looking for something on the other end from one of those teams to help you out. And I don't know what contender is going to give away a big piece to help out the Bucks right now, so they might be kind of stuck.
All right, let's go to the phones. I know some people are waiting, want to talk about tonight's game. Well, let's start with our buddy Benny. He's in Oxford. What's up, Benny?
Joe, what's going on, man? Joe, you might be right with 6th man of the year there. Peyton Pritchard. I think you spoke about that earlier.
I did.
Before the season started. I had my doubts. I didn't think he'd get time like that, but man, proving me wrong.
They almost need at time. I mean, they needed him tonight. They needed
him tonight. Tony Brothers is an absolute clown of a ref. Absolute clown. And how does top 5 all NBA player, like first team all NBA, get 0 free throw attempts in his own home court? I'm not counting those last 2 they gave him 2 minutes when the game was over. And Lillard's getting 18. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of. And thanks, Benny. I saw a lot of Tony Brothers hate tonight. Did you feel it?
Oh, I felt it.
I thought it was Doc that didn't like Tony Brothers.
I know. That's ironic. Ain't that wild? And Doc was complaining late in the game, like, yo, you doubled him up from the free throw line, and you're still complaining? Yeah, I mean, the play, the one where the ball hits the rim clearly, he calls a shot clock violation, and then calls a delay of game for them arguing the shot clock violation, and then tees up Mazzulla for arguing the delay of game call. I'm like, yo, this dude, what are we doing here? But even with again, that's something the Bucks had in their favor. They doubled them up at the foul line, basically, and it still didn't matter. I mean, they're probably sitting there now on the bus back to the hotel like, how do we do all these things right and still get cooked by these guys? It's unbelievable.
You got something there, Skaz, on Tony Brothers?
Yeah, what are we doing? The Celtics won by double digits. We're really going to do the Tony Brothers thing after the game? Like, aren't we past that?
Well, I'm not just blaming on Benny. I saw it all over my timeline.
Yeah, it's just people are so used to killing Tony Brothers and crushing them after every single game. Can we focus on the game? The Celtics played bad in the first half, played much better in the second half. Jaylen Brown had a huge turnaround in that game. Can we not do the refs thing 4 games into the season? They're 4-0. They've dismantled the Knicks and the Bucks, two teams that were supposed to be their competition in the Eastern Conference. You won by double digits against a team that was playing on a back-to-back. You're supposed to win that game. The Tony Brothers thing, yeah, he's not good at his job. How long have you been watching the NBA? This is refs in the NBA. They largely stink. You can't do the refs thing after you win by double digits. It's come on. It's lazy.
If I can give you one critical takeaway, the bench struggled. Take Pritchard out of it. Jordan Walsh was the first guy called up. Obviously with Sam Hauser out, but I mean, Tillman played 15 minutes. Cornette played 10. Do they have another wing besides Pritchard? Like, do they have another guy that can score at wing? I think that's a concern for the Celtics.
It's Hauser would normally be the guy, but he's out with the back injury, and I mean the guys have stepped up.
The guy would be Shireman, not to cut you off, but he'd probably be my guy. They're trying Walsh.
Yeah, they're trying to ease him in there. Yeah,
I don't think he's right. I don't think he's ready.
Yeah, I think he's in a tough space because he's not as big as Tatum and Brown, but they want him to play those positions and those roles, and he's thinner than those guys. He's much younger still. He's thinner than those guys. He's going to give it to you on the defensive end. He's a great defensive player, but he has to get comfortable. He has to put on more weight. He has to mature. But I think right now Hauser would be in these situations. And look, Cornette and Tillman, I think their struggles tonight was clearly because it was Giannis Lopez and Bobby Portis. Those guys with their size, they're going to make your bigs look bad on most nights. And Al Horford is just so used to playing against Giannis and Lopez that he knows all the tricks and all the moves and where to be, the anticipation, and he's comfortable with them on both ends. You're hitting the threes early, drawing them from the basket, and you saw Tillman at times look real sloppy. You saw Cornette at times in the paint with the ball, not even looking to shoot, just trying to kick it out and get it out of his hands. And I think a lot of that is the Bucks' three guys that they put out there. And Lopez was blocking shots early in this game. He was being disruptive. But I think that's what threw those guys off. And in most nights, you're not going to have that. The other team's not going to have an advantage on you with the bigs like that. But the Bucks are going to make it hard on those guys because they leave one of those bigs out there at all times, and they can be disruptive.
Celtics got essentially, 30 from their bench, but what Pritchard did was he was carrying the weight that Tatum didn't bring tonight and some others. But the bench just. I'm not concerned. But Jordan Walsh, if he can knock down those shots, he'll be deadly. I just don't think he can. And they're going to find out. So I actually like the fact that he's the first guy to get the crack for it. But I think Shireman's that guy. And I know they want him to get ready and get his reps. But I think that's why they spent the money on Shireman and drafted him. I think he's the guy. I think if he was open, he'd knock down one of those shots.
Yeah, he's a good shooter. I think he has to get rid of the jitters of the rookie feel. But I think the only thing keeping him off the court now is on the defensive end. Yep. He was a good rebounder in college. He's a way better passer than I thought he was. And he's a good all-around player. But he just has to lock in on the defensive end and get used to the speed of NBA ball. And you're right, man. I think they are rotating. Walsh is going to have his nights, and he's going to get his nights, especially with Hauser being out or in these big blowout leads. And by the time we get to, All-Star break or whatever, we're going to see if either one of these guys are willing to step up, and if not both of them, and see where this team is. And look, man, I like seeing the young guys get run. I love the fact they can build these big leads and they can use their whole bench. But I can see both of them having some kind of role when we get later in the season. And when you get into, they know they don't call it load management, but when guys start missing some time here or there, you're going to see both of them kind of get their run. I want to see them both catch on.
All right. Just wanted to be critical as, they're awesome. Like, they're awesome.
Yeah.
They got 28 points off a guy on their bench. Like, they're great. It just, yes, to Skaz's point, they beat a team that's in their way by 10 points tonight. We shouldn't be complaining. But, we just got to be critical at times. In their rotation, they went with Walsh first. Didn't look great. I'm interested to see. Who would have thought Sam Hauser was like that type of importance? Because he can D up too. I mean,
he is. He's gotten better on the defensive end. He's big. He's bigger than people want to give him credit to. He's a big dude, but he makes a difference when he's out there. The difference between him and Jordan Walsh, they're so scared of him shooting the three that they try not to leave him. They're chasing him. Everybody's looking at him, and it opens up. When Cornette's out there with him, Cornette gets a lot of those layups, so easier plays around the rim because they're all scared of the lane, and Cornette he feeds off of that. Tillman gets more open looks. He just opens it up for the whole bench because of his shooting. And look, he better be in the 3-point contest this year. He's too good to not be in it. But I think he easily win it too because of his size. He won't get tired. But anyway, he's such a threat on the 3-point line. He's kind of like Duncan Robinson. You think everything he throws up is going to go in. And because of that, it opens it up for that whole bench. And when he's not out there, you see it kind of get clogged. It gets tight a little bit. But when Pritchard's hitting shots, 5 feet behind the 3-point line, contested, they have it rolling. But that's not going to happen every night. But Hauser makes an absolute difference on this team.
All right, Cerrone Battle's here. I'm Joe Murray. We're here until 11 o'clock tonight. I do want to ask you on the other side here about a player who, might have been in a little bit of a shooting slump and looks to be out of that funk. So we'll talk about that. And you know what? I also might just ask you about the Patriots too, because they won a game yesterday, which I'm still surprised that they won. So let's get a look at the Sports Hub headlines. I'm Joe Murray. Cerrone's here as well, Skaz. We're here until 11 o'clock on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics 119-108 winners tonight at home, led by who? Peyton Pritchard. 28 points off the bench, 8 for 12 from downtown. 30 points from Jaylen Brown as well. They held off Damian Lillard's 33.
the foul.
Wow.
Devastating for Milwaukee.
That was strength there. He was going no place fast. Taurean Prince played great defense on him. And then all of a sudden just had his hands in the wrong place. Comes right up, goes into the body, and kisses it off the window.
The old Max kiss off the window. Back here on 98.5 The Sports, I'm Joe Murray. Cerrone Battle's here. Slow night for Jaylen Brown, but then he got it going. Ho-hum, 30 points tonight for Jaylen Brown, 10 of 14 from the line. That's the one thing I liked. I was talking about isolation basketball before the show tonight. Tatum, number 1 in the league in scoring. Brown, 4th. So you have 2 of the best ISO guys in the game tonight, and you got a lot of it from the line from Jaylen Brown. Your thoughts on Brown's night, Cerrone?
The conversation has been about them shooting threes since the opening night, the 61, which they haven't done since. But what makes them so dangerous is guys like Brown can literally stop shooting threes and be just as effective. I'm only going to take 2 or 3 of those things tonight, but I'm going to go in the paint against a Bucks team that has all that size and just force the action on you. I'm going to get to the paint. I'm going to get to the line. I'm going to get layups over and over again. And you can just see him just make up in his mind after he got off to a slow start and say, I'm just going to get to the lane. I'm going to get layups on you. I'm going to play like Giannis. And he just attacked the rim, and the Bucks had no answers for it. And they just, to the Celtics' credit, the team's credit, they kept feeding him. Give it to him again. Let him do it. Let him cook. It's your turn now. We're going to ride you now. And I love the fact that they decided to stay away from the three-point line in those stretches, feed Brown in the paint, get to the line, and put the Bucks in foul trouble. Giannis picked up a bunch of fouls. And I love that from Jaylen Brown. I love the fact that he just turned the three-point line off and just went old school and got to the lane and got to the basket and was being aggressive against a very large Milwaukee Bucks team. Very impressive.
Yeah, Brown struggled 6 of 24 against the Pistons the other night, and then today really started off slow. Third quarter, he got going. They went on that 18-2 run. He was a big part of it. Ended up with 21 of his 30 points coming in the second half. Have you noticed that Tatum's been playing the whole first quarter of late? Is that a way to maybe get Tatum going in the first half, Brown going in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, they're just alternating superstars, man. He plays the first quarter, most of it, and then Brown comes out early, and then he comes in the second and gets you going for the second quarter. Get him out there, a scoring option with the second unit, and when he has it going, if they both get going, you have no shot at all. And he comes in the second quarter, gets things going, and then him and Tatum together close out the second quarter going into halftime, and then they both cook you in the third. I mean, you can see what they're trying to do here. You can see them. It's kind of like they both spend time with the second unit. When all the starters go out, Tatum stays out there with the bench in the first quarter. Tatum goes out. Brown comes in with the second unit to start the quarter. And I think it's a good combination, and they got a good rhythm. And by the end of the game, they kind of end up with almost the same amount of shots, same amount of minutes. So that's good strategy by Missoula, and the players are all in for it. And they're dominating teams with it, and it's working right now.
Oh, it is certainly working. So they win tonight. They play the Bucks and then the Pacers on Wednesday night. They were 10-point favorites tonight. I think they were sitting out Hauser maybe to be ready for that game. Have you watched the Pacers at all? I did the other night. They got destroyed by New York.
Yeah, I don't know Halliburton's been off. I think he had a good game the other day, but before that, he's been really off. I mean, but they're a scary team. We saw it last year, Joe. I mean, those guys can turn them. They turn into a track meet. If you're tired and you're not ready to go, you can get blown out by this team easily. But at the same time, if they go cold, we saw the Celtics beat this team by 50 in a game last year. So they're going to turn into a track meet. If they get it going, it's going to be a problem. But they didn't get off to the start I think many people thought they would. We thought they would get off to the start like we're seeing out of Cleveland and Orlando, which I think Ben Caro today had a 50-point triple-double or something crazy like that. But they didn't get off to that kind of start, and I don't know what's wrong with them, but Celtics can't let them get right. So I would try and go out there and bury them too and crush their dreams of making noise in the playoffs too.
Yeah, I'm just looking at them. Siakam, 16 points a game. Turner is right around there. The guy I keep talking about, Benedict Mathurin, I have a ton of his cards. That's why but he's had right around 15 points per game so far. It's weird because Nembhard really ended the season well. He hasn't been able to get going yet. 29 minutes a night, but he's right around 7 points. I'm wondering if that's where they need to look at is maybe Mathurin starting. So I'm wondering if, they switch that up to get him going and if Mathurin can go off the bench. But that's, really they don't have a 20-point guy, and you would think it might be Halliburton. It's just not at the moment.
Yeah, he had a big game his last game, but I know he really, really struggled shooting the ball early on. I think he'll get going, but you would figure it like Tatum. He was sat on the bench the whole time in the Olympics, and you figured he'd be ready to go and looking to go to get the season going, kind of feeling slighted and disrespected too. Like, wait a minute now, I'm the all-star. I'm one of the best point guards in the NBA, and you're playing Derek White over me or some of these other guys. You figured he'd come out fired up, but he seems to be happy and cool with it. And maybe he'll get going as time goes on. He's too skilled not to, but I don't know what's wrong with them. But I think they'll get going as time goes on, but they just don't look right now. I thought they'd come out ready to go, but they're far from it.
I just looked it up. Their 3-point percentage this year is 27%.
Wow.
That's down like 10%.
And remember, they were the highest scoring team in the NBA since 1983 or something like that. They pushed the pace, scored 123 a game last year, something crazy. And they're struggling offensively. And maybe they got figured out. Maybe what they did last year is not working, and teams are looking for it and expecting it and trying to take away, their pace or matching their pace and tempo and being more physical with them, and it's taking them out of what they like to do. But they don't look right. And I don't know what's wrong with them, but they're going to find themselves in a hole behind the Cleveland and Orlando's and Boston as time goes on if they don't get it together pretty quickly.
I just looked it up. Celtics are number one right now in 3-point percentage, about 43%. Cleveland,
that's crazy.
Cleveland's 41.
Yeah.
Phoenix comes in at 40, and then the Warriors in Brooklyn. Wow.
I don't even know who plays for Brooklyn.
I know.
Ben Simmons got him going out there.
I'll look up who they're. Zaire, Shake Milton is on there. Ben Simmons, yeah, he's right there. Schroeder.
I forgot he's back. Yeah, Schroeder's going.
Dorian Finney-Smith. Bojan Bogdanovic. Man, I don't even know who this roster is.
It's a bunch of role players, man.
These are the scrubs, like when you play a video game and they like try to pawn them off on you, and you're like, I don't want that guy.
Oh, when you start playing for the first time and they start you off on a bad team, it's like,
Noah Clowney. Like I liked him at Alabama, but
they got issues. But I mean, you better keep up. I don't think Cleveland and Orlando is lost. So you got 3 teams at the top of the Eastern Conference that's undefeated right now, and you're gonna find yourself as 4 or 5 games behind before you're 2 weeks into the season. And I don't think anybody wants to play catch up, especially when you're on one of these teams that start load managing and like the Sixers. They're already losing games, and they're going to have guys on their roster saying they're not playing back-to-backs. They're going to find themselves 10, 15 games behind the Celtics with no shot of beating anybody because they're going to be on the road the whole playoff. So these teams got to get it together quickly and treat it like it's a NFL-type season where every game matters.
Okay. On the other side here, it happened again. Joe Math. I'll tease it for you, Cerrone.
Okay. All right.
Math, okay? Math. Just think of these coaches in the NFL when it comes to math. I'm going to tease it because I just saw something that blew my mind. My mind is blown on math and the play call. I'm going to retweet it right now at Joey Murr on Twitter. You got to see this thing. We'll react to it as we're here until 11 o'clock. He's Cerrone. I'm Joe here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
right, final segment here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Cerrone Battle's joining us. We got a couple of minutes to go here, Cerrone, so we get enough time to talk about this one. Math, okay? You just scored a touchdown and you're down 8, right? What do you do? What would Coach Cerrone do?
You score a touchdown, you kick the field goal, you make it a 7-point game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With 8 minutes to go.
The Giants set up the annexation of Puerto Rico, it looked like. Remember that from Little Giants?
Yeah.
Actually, I think that play worked, right? I mean, remember the play that the Colts did with the fake punt years ago?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I'm just trying to be Coach Joe for a second here because I don't know how to really line this up.
Neither do they.
you have okay. Here's how they set it up. You have a snapper, right? So you have a guy who's snapping. Then you have a guard next to his left. I believe it's a wingback that's behind the center. I believe that is, and then Daniel Jones is the quarterback. So that's 4 on one side, right? So that means that there would be, and then there's a far guy flanked out way on the right. Okay, so 5 guys on that side. The other 6 guys are on the left side of the field. 5 of them are lined up like in wide receiver position with just one guy there. Somehow they snapped the ball. I don't know how they snapped the ball, but they did. And then they threw it right to the guy that was standing there. What the hell were they doing?
None of the 6 guys blocked.
What are they doing?
If just 2 of them would have blocked, he would have walked into the end zone. None of them blocked. They just stood there like they didn't know to play, and dude got blown up.
I am sick of watching the Giants on prime time. I'm sick of it. They suck. And what is this? What is this? Is this going to fool the Steelers were all over it, by the way. This is my problem with the league now. The product stinks. Right? I watched Celtics-Bucks tonight, and I had this on, and I wish I watched wrestling instead, to be honest with you. Okay? But this is a joke. And you're down 8 points, and you go for 2? Again, what's the logic on that again? What's the logic for that?
Yeah, with 8 minutes to go, it's not like you needed it now. It's 8 minutes to go. Kick the field goal.
Why? Like
in the game.
The analytics in basketball I get. More threes, more points, da-da-da-da-da-da. What's the math there? I don't get it. And then this brings me back to the London game. I was upset that the Pats went for 2. It was stupid. But beforehand, I was more pissed that the Jags went for it on 4th down when they kick a field goal, make it a 3-score game.
Yeah.
Oh.
You allowed them to stay in it by just being cute.
We got 30 seconds, but we use
innovative coaches, man. It's the new innovative NFL. They out here playing Madden.
30 seconds to go here, but Pats win yesterday, and I was happy for Brissett.
Yeah, it was good for him, and he kind of redeemed himself a little bit, but good for him, good win for them, and they have some more winnable games on the schedule, but they're one of them. They're a winnable team too, but a beatable team. But it's good for them, and we'll see how it goes going forward, man. They got the Titans who got destroyed Sunday, so we'll see.
All right, Cerrone, we'll have to do this again, sir.
Yes, sir, man.
We'll find out what happens on Wednesday night, and maybe there'll be better games and better coaching.
We'll see.
All right, he's Cerrone Battle, everybody. Thanks, Cerrone. We'll catch up soon. Skaz, excellent job, sir. Matt Stenberg, wherever you are. Joe, our intern, great job.